Hello everyone, today we're fighting an invisible right now. Yeah. I've been doing this boss fight back in the day. I've already fought this guy quite a few times. Invisible is an endgame regular enemy. I think we've fought around 6 of them at this point. I think the main issue with this boss fight is, again, like Maleficent Dragon, they take away your cure abilities, so you have to basically do it all on 1 health bar, which is really annoying, because, as you can see, there could be wonky hitboxes, not a lot of tells, but at the very least, unlike with Trickmaster, and he kicked my head off, he does not flip the entire screen upside down and make this even worse, which is, frankly, a mercy. I decided to include the invisible mini-boss here because, like I said, I had quite a hard time dealing with him. He's got boss health, so I think it counts here. I don't know if Arrow Shield could do anything. Maybe I've been using it off and on. I think that might have been that whirlwind that I've been surrounding myself with, so yeah, wonky hitboxes, but, you know, Invisible's got, well, he's already done. And now we're getting some more typical Kingdom Hearts text that means almost nothing. We're going to be getting straight into a cutscene. The reason that Pete and Maleficent are here is that they were dragged down to a deeper level where the actual antagonist is, and for whatever reason, Sora and Riku have decided, along with Mickey, that they have to be the good guys, so they decide to just go down to the data escape for 2 reasons: save them, destroy the Heartless there. As you can see, it's dark side, it's covered in some weird shit, and that's because this is more than your typical dark side. It's the one that pummels Pete and Maleficent in 1 punch, which is actually pretty badass. For a dark side, this is actually pretty freaking cool. I actually really like this art design, which is definitely something to be said, considering that so much of this game's art direction and its assets are all pixely and junky and just low effort. And now we're kind of getting to the denouement of what the glitches actually meant as time went on. Kind of like why Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2 was put together. They didn't realize it at the time, but him defeating all the glitches kind of getting into everything, were just to feed the big dark side here with a bunch of negative emotions because it's a Square Enix JRPG, or it's a JRPG in general, which means that a lot of villains are going to feed on sadness, and that's just a thing that we have to deal with. Sora has infinite resolve because he's a complete idiot. And I just realized that I'm going to be talking for the next 20 minutes here, so I either gotta keep my eye on the ball and think of stuff to say about this, or I need to try and talk about some of the news, which I really don't want to because there actually hasn't been a lot of news to come into the surface as of late, which is kind of interesting. You would expect, since we're moving into the period where more games are going to start coming out, that we'd be hearing some more gaming news. Before we get into that, though, fighting the Sora Heartless here in typical Square Enix fashion, it is bastard difficult. Not this phase, the later stuff. It gets real freaking hard, and it definitely killed me quite a few times. When I finally got it all done, after the 3rd phase, I think it was the 3rd one, was when things really got pretty freaking painful. I didn't resort to, I don't know why, but I didn't resort to going through save states for this one. I probably should have, considering how annoyed I was. But this game probably has the typical Kingdom Hearts saving system, so I probably didn't think it was all that necessary. Even though it's bastard hard, it's not like one of those Data Organization 13 fights where they have like 9 health bars stacked on top of each other. All the phases typically have 2 to 3 health bars, so it's just all kind of figuring them out and getting it all done. It doesn't take forever, so it isn't all, I guess it's not that annoying, which is why I did decide to take shortcuts on this one. As you can see, Sora's Heartless here is employing the typical ceaseless discharge giant enemy strategy, where they just punch the platform over and over again, and you just have to wait for that moment, get some really dumb hits in, because all these bosses are universally stupid. The fact that they just leave their hand on the platform for 45 seconds allow you to pound it over and over again. Just a really repetitive repertoire that I have to learn how to deal with. Pretty painful, even when we have Cure back. That doesn't really make it matter in the later phases, because just like how Cure always is, you can't just spam it all the time. You have to let it recharge, which, just like your Estus Flask idea, means that you can't be in a vulnerable state when you're launching Cure, because I'm sure finding Leaf Bracer is pretty hard, considering the Matrix upgrade system that this game went with, which is just freaking terrible. I don't know why I never figured out how to upgrade Cure to its better forms, so I've been running around just with Cure commands. Considering how annoying it is to get those command upgrades to work, I would not be surprised that, for whatever reason, they make getting Cura and Curaka so freaking hard to manage. Or maybe I just didn't get it. Like I said, the upgrade system in this game is freaking terrible. I most likely don't have Leaf Bracer because I didn't know where the hell to get it. Because that's just how the Matrix is designed. This guy has a ton of health too, which is real annoying. And as you can tell, considering I'm recording for the next 20 minutes, this is a 27-minute long video. And it's because tons of health, all these attacks keep you far away from the boss so you can't deal much damage. And it's just the pure opposite of a goddamn cakewalk. So, I think probably something that I could talk about that might get a little bit of time going here is, you know, the Madden controversy. It's always hilarious when these companies who have been doing shady bullshit for years, like EA Sports, doesn't have any sort of quality to stand on, and like people who have been commentating on it, the only reason why they're allowed to get away with releasing a game like Madden 21 is because they have a monopoly on it. No one else is allowed to release realistic football games under NFL rule. You only get very humorous and unrealistic football, which the Madden audience is definitely not part of the audience that would appreciate that. Like they always say, they want simulation football, and from the one source that's allowed to give it, they can't even get it from them. And to be honest, like, people are allowed to do with whatever the hell they want with their money, but to be honest, at this point, I share the exasperation of people who have been covering it year upon year and seeing over and over again that it hasn't been getting any better. And the only thing you can blame is the people who keep buying it. And to be honest, at this point, if you bought Madden 21 and didn't expect it to suck a whole bucket of nards, then I don't know what the hell to tell you. That is probably one of the most obvious things that you could have expected, is for it to be incredibly greedy and awful and just the worst kind of game, which it is, and which is why people have been thankfully getting on the internet and finally calling it out in force. But the problem is that when you get such a negative game, it can ironically have a pretty good sales period because people are more likely to buy it in order to, you know, make fun of it. Which is something that I didn't think would happen, because I would think that when you get customers who are purely interested in the product just to yell on the internet about how shit it is, I thought that this would have dissuaded more people from going out and getting it themselves. Like, at that point, logically, wouldn't most of those sales be coming from people who don't know any better? But it could be the exact opposite of people either, I don't know why people probably still do this, but they ironically buy it for whatever reason. Or, like I said, they buy it because they have to, you know, yell about how shitty it is. And really, all these companies that pull this shady loot box bullshit do is just exactly like the big mobile games do. All they want to do is just reel in as many people as they can, expand their audience as much as they can, because they're only after the whales. And at this point, that's basically what Madden has been for the last 4 or 5 years, probably even more than that. As you've seen, they've been ripping out features over and over again, putting in meaningless features and game modes that people didn't want. And it just goes to show you how far in this company is in just making terrible games and screwing over people, because that's what it is at this point. These companies don't end up releasing advertisements for these games saying, you know, how bad it is, so no one knows how shitty it is before they go in there. And if they're advertising it as a good game all over the place, then it's very easy to say that that game's an absolute scam. Like, in a video, I saw someone actually playing one of its modes, and when you're doing that sort of challenge mode, and you're getting, like, 1 minute of gameplay, and then you're being booted back to the menu, just to be told that you're getting a meaningless goddamn tiny amount of currency. It's just... It shows in all the Reddit comments and the Metacritic and probably everywhere. Hell, at this point, probably all over Facebook as well. Just general hobbyist groups for the sports team games. Well, the sports games, they're not made for specific teams, so I don't know what I was talking about. But, like I said, it's just real good to see that the audience is getting more and more fed up of it, because it could lead people to be more in the line of, you know, they're not going to buy the next year's one. So maybe this one sold better than it has been in years, but maybe the next one will finally be the line that gets crossed and people don't come out for it. I don't know. But what I do know is that EA can't get away with this forever. They can't get away with their bullshit perpetually. It's just not gonna happen. There's eventually gonna be a line that's broken, a line that's crossed, and how the game is developed is gonna have to change. Cause, I mean, I don't know how long you can sell a monopolistic, shitty game that gets shittier every year. The unfortunate thing is that, you know, people always say in commentary that, you know, this is the last straw, but it's never that simple. I just don't know, because as we've seen with the record-breaking sales of Madden 21, that the usual expectations is not really what goes on. I don't know. Maybe Madden has just been so shit for so long that people have just gotten used to it. But it is universally good when there are these huge backlashes, because sometimes it can get things to be done. And to be honest, I know I've been talking about Madden for the last 5 minutes, because I thought it would have been a really good news story to share again about just the appalling state that it's in. Kind of like with when WWE 2020 came out, and it was developed in a year because it was required to by contracts, most likely, and it came out as such a beyond glitchy mess that, you know, even by Madden 21's new lowest standard, it wasn't even blatantly acceptable. Although it was hilarious to see, because you get those hilarious glitch videos of the day one stuff. But yeah, 0.3, 0.2 on Metacritic. Definitely proud to see that the audience came out. Just like with Warcraft 3's horrible, awful remake. Just the time when companies you told the companies that they didn't get away with it, even though on the back end they still got away with it, which, you know, I wish it could have been a totally positive story, but, you know, that's just kind of life for you. Life's just shit. Just like this boss fight that I've been fighting for the last, what, 10 minutes at this point? We haven't even gotten to Phase 2. And I've already told you, this is a 3-phase deal. Just like when we had to fight Riku after Pete. That was a 3-phase deal after a 2-phase boss fight. And it's just repetitive crap. I don't know why they gave the Sora Heartless so much goddamn health, and literally they're just saying the exact same thing that we heard before. It's completely idiotically repetitive. It's just bad boss design 101. They give him like 4 attacks, he repeats them over and over and over again. And it's not even a cool boss, because usually what it does is just hangs outside the boundaries of the arena. Okay, here's where we get to the real meat and potatoes of this boss fight. We're finally fighting Sora one-on-one. We're fighting our evil doppelganger, and he's got the goddamn skills to pay the bills. The skills that I do not have, because when a game has badly designed combo systems and just bad combat, I'm not gonna be able to frickin' do, like, the super cool shit that goddamn Dark Sora here is managing. And it's just, like, Phase 2, I wasn't gonna spoil it. Phase 2 isn't actually all that bad, because Sora does have the powers, but he's actually kinda easy to deal with. He gets staggered easier, since he's just a little kid, just like us. So I don't have to do a ton of work to make sure that I don't die. This attack is complete horseshit, by the by, where, you know, it's 20 projectiles back to back. He does get stunned for quite a long time, so if you can survive it, and like you saw, the health means that it is definitely not a guarantee that you will survive the key onslaught. So you gotta keep your dodges going, you gotta have the aerial tech, whatever aerial tech that this game gives you to use, because goddamn, that attack is just, it's not hard to dodge once you get to it, because all you do is just dodge in circles. But, I mean, also it does give you that, so you can juggle him because he gets into a vulnerable state, so there is definitely a reward for getting through it. Because if you don't spend all your time healing, you get that excellent, excellent vulnerable state. You get to deal out huge damage, to the point we actually went through Phase 2 in like a minute. And now we get to the hard part, where we fought that guy, now we have to fight 3 of them all at once. And I do believe that all the repertoires are the same. They probably add in a charge attack, like you saw for a little bit in the corner. Lots of the key projectiles that still do huge damage. I would say, unless you, for whatever reason, mastered the blocking system, whatever blocking system that they have in this game, you are going to be having a hard time with this fight. Thankfully, I was really lucky, and I got aggressive on the first one I dealt with. I was able to get out real big damage, and just ended up only having to deal with 2 of them right at the start, which is real freaking cool. I really do appreciate that, Sora. Your evil self is such a bastard, which is indicative of him being the chosen child. So, I guess I couldn't expect anything less. Also, I couldn't expect anything less from Square Enix, because this is usually the pattern that they go down, is they make the ending stuff bastard hard, and to the point where they're like, hey, why didn't you grind and get better stats? And, oh, shit. Yeah, this is 3 key projectile attacks layered on top of each other. And they're all staggered, so, you know, they could definitely hit you while you're trying to dodge, and that's just great. I think I did end up killing the one that I thought I did, because I swear I did see 3 of them, which means that there has to be 3 of them for that to be possible. But wait, what? Oh, was that a thing where I had to be like, oh, we just hid the real one amongst 2 fake ones, and that is some dumb bullshit, because there's no tell to find the real one, so it's just dumb luck. For whatever reason, Sora Heartless is completely immune to being hit by the Keyblade, which is... I don't understand this at all. But then again, like I say, Square Enix has their tropes. It doesn't have to make sense, it's just what they do. And so, yeah, you could kill the Sora Heartless 3 times over, and he just gets more powerful after that. Mickey has to show up to drag Sora's ass out of the fire, which I guess is deserved. It's not as pathetic as it usually would be. But, I mean, come on. This is Mickey's goddamn status quo. He never shows up for the actual fight. He just shows up for the goddamn ending. Which is, you know, not a thing that I would say friends are supposed to do when they're badass warriors. You know, always showing up the last second there, Mickey. Not a real good look. Doesn't make you look like a good fighter, does it? Or at least a person with smart ideas. So, yeah, just like with the end of Sephiroth, we just get a freebie for the end of the final boss. And we're going to go into 6 minutes. A whole another 6 minutes of cutscenes. Which I decided to add all together, because that was how it was in the game. They just put cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, because for whatever reason, this game does have an extra bit after it. I'm guessing the developers were thinking that, you know, they stole so much from the original Kingdom Hearts, they had to obviously recycle Chain of Memories too. It wouldn't be complete without that. A completely pointless game. So, now we're getting to the bit where everyone's sad. And I do not like this attempt when they're trying to make me feel bad for Sora here. Because at the beginning of the game, this clone of Sora that they brought to the digital world, they created a digital Sora clone. They were able to do it in like 2 minutes. And, you know, they even kind of show it here in the dialogue where this is a clone of Sora, so they're technically not the same person. So he's talking to the clone of Sora like he would talk to the real Sora. There's no differentiation in the dialogue between the two. And when he's a clone and not being treated like the real person, then all that stuff they talk about, like with the friendship stuff and missing them, it's completely bullshit. Because they're not saying that they're gonna miss this copy. They're saying all this stuff about the original Sora, which, you know, if you're a clone, it would be just kind of offensive at that point. Like, you know, I know that they have, like, the same memories, and he truly believes that he's the same person, but they're not. And it's just kind of offensive to me that they're trying to make me feel sad about this guy by saying that, oh, they developed a real friendship with the clone, when the only friendship that they had in the relationship of this job was that, you know, he just transplanted his friendship with the real Sora with the fake Sora, which is understandable, but I think it's kind of missing something in a story about actual clones. And it completely takes away any emotional weight about any sort of the demise of Sora. And to be honest, this Sora does not actually go through a demise. He just gets his memory erased. That's the difference maker. Like, I thought, because I hadn't seen this game in, like, over a year. I played this a long time ago. I completely forgot everything because this game's completely forgettable. But apparently, Sora doesn't end up getting deleted because the digital world just kind of stays in the Magic Science Machine. I don't know why, because it would have made more narrative sense for the entire world to just be collapsed back into the journal and returns to what it's supposed to be. It's just a book. It's not supposed to be a computer program, but whatever the point, the demise of Sora isn't that he gets deleted. It's that he completely loses his memory.
It never happened
And
to him.
as we'll see in a cutscene
Why,
in about a minute from
he's
now,
just the same boy he was before he
even
ever
the
met
stakes that they had in the story, like if we took it at face value, even then they completely destroy any weight to these actions, to any narrative weight to the plot progression of the supposed demise of Sora.
Wait. Hey,
So
Riku,
now,
could you
at
help
this
me get
point,
back into the datascape
we're
one
getting
more
into
time?
the extra scenario that this game has. It isn't like Chain of Memories extra scenario where you have two basically different games. It's just for whatever reason, they decide to tack on the extra scenario right after the final boss, and it just immediately rolls through it, rolls into it. Which is why I added all these cutscenes after the fact, is because all this stuff is related to the continuation of the story.
This was the day that your journey began.
And now Mickey's here, and he's finally gonna reveal.
I was here
He's
too.
finally gonna reveal. Sorry,
It's time
why
for the truth.
the stakes were completely bullshit. So we're just gonna get to that point here. So, it doesn't even matter. It literally doesn't matter. Like, the whole, he doesn't know Mickey, it immediately translates into what he wanted to happen in the first place. Sora is just completely on for the ride. He immediately awakens his abilities, and now he finds himself in Castle Oblivion to finish up what needs to be finished. Another mysterious figure, who is a nobody. We're about done here, so I did just want to point out that Sora completely losing his memory was a completely pointless plot turn that did nothing, and it was essentially erased immediately after it happened, showing why this story was written by people who did not care, that did not want to give these characters any sort of proper arcs, and that's why I was supremely bored the whole time.